Hey, welcome back. In this lesson, we'll start making a belt for our character. So to do that, you just clone out your body, or for this demonstration, we're going to clone out the body and use it just for reference. And we're going to append a cylinder to that body. Alt-click the cylinder to select it, subdivide it one time, and delete lower. I just want it to have a little bit more detail. Now under deformation, under rotate, select the little X because we're going to be rotating it on the X-axis, and gently, without moving your Wacom tablet, click the rotate and hit 90 degrees and enter. So we're going to use this cylinder as the approximation of where our body is to create this belt. Then reduce the size by 100, and that roughly is the width of our hips. And then with the move tool, you can shift drag off of the cylinder and just roughly scale it to match the hips. Okay, so we'll start creating our belt on that. We're going to use the curve strap snap brush that we used in previous lessons, and make sure your draw size is well, we can always change it later, but as you draw, hold down shift, hit shift as you're drawing the curve, and drag off of the cylinder, and you will actually create a complete ring around the cylinder. Okay, so I want that to be a little bigger, so I'm going to actually take my mouse off of the curve, change my draw size a little bit, click it again without moving it, or else it'll do that. And that's about the right thickness of belt that I want. And if I want to make it thinner, I can go to modifiers under brush and change the strength multiplier to, let's say, 0.5. Hit enter, and gently, without moving your Wacom, click that, and it'll actually get thinner. If you want it to get thicker, put it to 1.5 or 2, something like that. Now just click on the cylinder, and our curve is gone, and that object is now baked. We're going to split it off, split unmasked points, and now we can get rid of that, and we have our little belt starter. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate this. So now we have two. I'm going to hit solo mode, so I'm just looking at one from the top with no perspective on. And holding down shift and control, I'm going to cut away a quarter of that belt. So this is going to be where our buckle goes, and this is going to be connected to the next part of the belt, which I'll show you here. Delete hidden, it's under geometry, modify topology, delete hidden, and now we're going to select this next belt and delete the top half. Make sure it's actually the top half. I'll be a monkey's uncle. Okay. We're going to make sure these two line up, so whatever gets them to line up, that's good right there. So I'm going to invert that selection and just kind of delete up to there. This is going to be the end of the tongue. Okay, delete hidden, and now we have one single belt that goes around. We're going to use our move tool on kind of a large size to move that off. And now you could kind of see what I was trying to do there. It's easier to explain once it's done. Okay. The next step is we want to kind of smooth this down a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to crease the edges. Actually, first thing I'll do is I'll close the holes. So we close those holes. Actually, no, undo that. Let's weld points first. But before we weld the points, we need to combine these into one object. So merge down. Now it's one object. Now go to Geometry, Modify Topology, Weld Points. With our Move Topological brush, we could see that these points are now connected. And now we'll close holes. Close holes. There we go. I'm going to put a slice through this geo just so we have a center line. So I'm going to go to hold down Control and Shift and use the slice rectangle tool and just put a slice through there. Now you can use the Move Topological tool to kind of create a little tongue on the end there. And then when we subdivide, it'll be easier to work with. So before we subdivide, we're going to create creases that will keep our edges here. To do that, go to Crease, change your crease tolerance to, let's say, 45, 47, and hit Crease All. Okay, don't do that. Actually, we're going to do this another way. Hit Control W to polygroup everything. Go to Polygroups, Group by Normals, and that's going to create one polygroup for this, one polygroup for this. Basically, wherever the normals are making more than a 45-degree angle, that's where it'll break up the polygroup. And then we're going to go back to Crease, and we're going to go Crease PG, which is going to create creases right there where the polygroups are. Now, if we want to subdivide this, with smooth turned on, we could subdivide it, and it'll keep the edges that we have right here, as you could see. We're going to need to subdivide it quite a bit because at that, we're going to have to put little holes into it and stuff, and maybe even like a leather texture, or however much detail you want to put into it. But now if we want to actually smooth that, there's a couple of ways to do that. The kind of more technical way, which I don't like to do, is you could have put crease levels so that after, let's say, 3 subdivision levels, everything's gonna smooth. But I just prefer to uncrease all and then smooth afterwards, just because I'm a Luddite that way. Alright, cool. And if we want to polish that up, we could polish by features, and it's going to kind of respect our polygroups. Alright, in the next lesson we're going to make a buckle for this belt. Thanks for watching.